The 30 pilgrims who are the protagonists of the Canterbury Tales are a real gallery of English medieval society. The first two characters we encounter are the knight and the merchant. The knight is opposed to the merchant because Chaucer had a strong position for the classical courtly and knightly values, and at the same time against the new mercantile society based on middle class values. But have a look at the knight. He displays some virtues, some precious virtues, both military virtues such as courage, bravery, loyalty, and moral virtues such as simplicity, being a simple man, a humble man. He wears only essential clothes. You can just look at him and understand that he's a noble person, although his clothes are not expensive, they are very simple. Unlike the merchant who wears colored clothes, a colorful hat, an orange dress. The merchant represents the new merchant class, the middle class, and their new values. But basically, the values of middle class people are making money and taking care of one's physical aspects and clothes, one's looks. The way you look is the way other people think of you. So what middle class people are interested in is wearing expensive clothes, although they are not elegant, because finally we get the idea that the merchant is somehow funny. He's not a serious, an important, a valuable character. Chaucer disapproves of middle class values and of the merchant. Chaucer disliked the new mercantile society, and he pokes fun at the merchant because although he wears such expensive clothes but colorful and not elegant clothes, he is in debt. But the idea is that although he is in debt, all he cares is displaying a high social standing. So he's a liar. He's not a loyal person, unlike the knight. A relevant group of pilgrims belongs to the clergy, but most of the characters who belong to the clergy are negative ones. Take the nun. This lady doesn't really love God and doesn't care of other people. All she loves is her jewels. And in fact, every time she swears, she always invokes Saint Loy. Saint Loy is not random. Saint Loy is the protector of jewelers. So the nun loved jewels most of all. She spoke French in Paris style, which somehow indicates that she looks like a noble woman. She looks like a lady. She's not a simple nun, as she should be. She prefers living a life made of luxury, jewels, good food. She eats good food and she feeds her pet, especially her little dog, with white bread, with milk, with high quality food. But she doesn't care of other people. The monk is not a common one. He hates living in a monastery, being stuck in a monastery, and spending all his time studying and praying. She prefers going outside in the wood and go hunting. She had a lot of love affairs. So once again, she seems to be a corrupt character. Then we have the summoner and the pardoner. Both of them loved using their power to make money. The summoner had the task of punishing sinners, and he used his power to make money instead of teaching real religious values. Look at the pardoner. His motto is radix malorum est cupiditas. He uses this motto to explain how people should get rid of their money and their wealth, and they should give it all to him. But this is the trick. He tells other people not to love money, not to love wealth, but this is the only thing he cares of. He loves the money, he loves wealth. So he asks other people to get rid of their money, showing them false relics of saints, showing them false documents coming from Rome, coming from the Pope. Somehow he speaks Latin because he uses this power to convince gullible people, that is, people who do not really understand what he says, but they are somehow hypnotized by him, by his words, and they are convinced that they need to give him all they have. So he gets richer and richer. So he's the first one who is affected by cupiditas. He is the first one to be cupidus, although he tells other people not to be like that. The only positive character, the only incorrupt character who belongs to the clergy is the poor parson. He is a parson. He lives in the country. He lives in a country village, and he has chosen to devote his life entirely to the love of God and to help other people in need. He goes and visits sick people. He gives all he has to poor people, to people who didn't have a job, people who couldn't afford feeding their children. They could go to the poor parson and get some help.